Well, today I'm going to cover a repeatable 5 step process that will help you get and keep your digital notes clutter free, because this is decluttering, under control, regardless of what notes app you use. This is all about digital notes. If you follow these 5 steps, you'll establish clean, easy to locate and searchable notes that you can act on. Let's see how to remove decision fatigue, reduce the effort we use and require to find our notes. And this is a good one. Stop note hoarding. I don't know about you, but sometimes I don't clear this stuff out. So today you're going to just get this repeatable process that you can run anytime to save yourself some energy in managing your notes and get to executing on your goals. I see a few people out in the chat with us this evening. I will come back and greet you, but I want to go ahead and get you going. And I'm going to start with a simple and easy prep step. Anything we do, everything we do requires a little bit of prep. So this is going to set you up for getting through this process. So you're in your notes app, doesn't matter what it is. Notion, Evernote, Apple Notes, Google Keep, Bear, Obsidian, it doesn't matter. Every notes app will this work. To start your process, I want you to create what's called a quick sweep. Literally, you're going to call it quick sweep. Either a notebook, a folder, a page, a database, or a workspace. Whether it's a folder, a page, a database, or a workspace really depends on the application you use. If it's Apple Notes, for example, you're going to create a folder with the name that I just shared with you, Quick Sweep. You can use Fast Sweep. You can use another term. I'm going to say Quick Sweep for right now. And then every note that you have that is new, has not been categorized, has not been filed where it should be, where you can find it, you're just going to take them all and shove them into that quick sweep notebook, folder, database, anything that you're hunting for that you would get distracted by. You're not going to do anything with it. You're just going to put them all in there. That's your setup. That's how you're going to start this whole 5 step process to declutter your notes. And at the end of you getting all of the clutter into Quick Sweep, you're going to have one place that you can focus on to start moving quickly, making decisions without getting into decision fatigue, and you can work and keep your energy for the real work, which is being productive, which is achieving your goals. This works whether it's in your personal life, in your professional life, in your volunteer service. This works in every part of your life. So keep that in mind as we go through. All right. So the first thing we're going to do in our setup, we're going to go through this quick step and get these files that are in notes that are kind of scattered everywhere in different places and put them in quick sweep. Okay? That's where we're going to start. Now, I'm going to stop for a second here and welcome you and let you know who I am. I'm Florence. I'm the host of Purpose and Productivity Show. We're on episode 146 tonight. I'm so excited to have you here with us. And we do have some folks in the building with us. So I want to say hello to you and get 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 started with the rest of the content. So I want to say hello to, if I can do the right thing here. I'm having a little technical difficulty. You know what? It is always something. Give me a second. It is always something, but never fear. I can fix it very quickly, and then I'm going to come back and say hello to you. I'm going to do this way, and I'm going to get this out of the way. Oops. I put something on the wrong screen. That's why I got stuck. All right. So I'm saying hello to Frank Jackson, and said, "Did I hit live?" Ha ha. Yes, I did. I'm live. Hey, Inanea, glad to have you in the building with me. And there are some other folks out there. Say hello, and I will definitely greet you. But I want to get into what we're going to talk about today. And I already gave you your prep step. If you are just coming in, y- I'll you can go back and watch the replay. And while I'm going through this, I'm going to ask you also as you're listening, answer this question. Which of these apply to you in this poll? Number 1, put a 1 in the comment if your notes needs decluttering. Put a 2 in the comments if your notes are neatly organized, and put a 3 in the comments if you need help decluttering, cuz sometimes we just need a little bit of help. So what we're going to go do is go through this 5-step process today. All right. So let's go to step 1. And the way I'm going to start with this and say, we need to stop having our notes living in a dozen different places or locations. And what I mean by that, we're using multiple apps with no rhyme or reason for why notes go in certain places. For example, if you use Google Keep for a certain type of note, then you always use it. But if you don't use it for that, or you're inconsistent, then you've got different types of notes in Google Keep. You've got other kind of notes in Apple Notes. You've got other kind of notes in Notion and other kind of notes in Obsidian. It does whatever app you use, you're inconsistent in the way you use them. So the first thing I'm going to say is we need to get a handle and stop putting our notes and having them in a bunch of different places. Okay? Living in a dozen different places or locations. Now we know we've put our notes, this unmanaged set of notes, in this quick sweep folder. Step 1 is you're going to start and just scan. You're not going to read, you're going to scan that list for duplicate notes. Maybe you've written down a phone number in 2 different notes, but it's the same phone number. Maybe you've written a list of ideas down and you've got 2 lists of ideas for a project. You're going to look for those duplicates, and you're going to either combine them, or you're going to, where necessary, you're going to split them up. Mainly, it's going to be combining them so that the notes actually belong together where they are. Okay. Then, if you have not, and you have multiple applications you use, there's nothing wrong with using multiple applications. And in fact, I use multiple applications. And I'll talk with you how I do this because I'm going through this myself. But pick a primary application where your primary thing is going to live. For me, that primary application is Evernote. I also use an application called Drafts. That's a quick capture. But for the most part, with one exception, the notes that I put in Drafts don't stay in Drafts. They go into Evernote. There are times when I'm on a machine where I don't have access to either Evernote or Drafts, and I've got to capture some information that I want to go into my note taking system. In that scenario, I will use Google Keep if I can get to Google Keep. And if I cannot get to Google Keep, or it won't work for what I need to capture is won't work for Google Keep, I'll use TickTick. I've found that those are good barriers, but those are really for capturing. The notes don't stay in those other applications. So again, the key here is choose a primary app primarily for a topic. Now, I said a couple of seconds ago that I use drafts, and with one exception, notes don't stay in drafts. I'm not concerned about whether you understand the drafts application. I want you to understand my thinking and the way I approach this. The notes that remain in drafts are my project templates. Everything else gets moved out of drafts into Evernote. I just use it as a place to very quickly write something down, voice record it, get it out of the way. If if it's an actionable item, it'll go into my task manager and a few other things, but that's my primary app. Evernote is mine. Yours may be, again, it could be Obsidian, it could be Notion, it could be Google Keep, it could be Apple Notes, it could be Bear. There are tons, thousands of note-taking apps. The app is less important than understanding how you're using it because they each have strengths and they each have things that the others don't necessarily have. So that's step one in this getting everything together. Then you've already scanned, gotten rid of duplicates. You're going to copy or move the best notes into your main note application from that quick capture. And while you're moving it, if the title of the note or the first line of the note is not clear in terms of what it is, take the time to put a good, clear note. Now, title. What do I mean by a good, clear title? I mean that when you look at the title, you know exactly what that note is. You know, if you need to know the date is in the title. If you need to know what area of your life, the area of your life is in the title. If you need to know a company name, the company name is in the title. If you need to know an action, the action is in the title. The words that you would think of when you want to find this note, you want those to be in the title. It's okay to have a long title note. But before you move it, go ahead and make your title of your note very searchable for you. There's no one size fits all, there's no perfect one way for everybody, but you really have to know yourself and how you think to come up with these titles. And this is sometimes how we get duplicates, by the way, just so you know. Another step you want to take in this getting this first piece done is make yourself an index note. I'm going to show you on paper what I mean by this because it's easy for me to show you on paper. I wish I had a camera. But when I have a paper notebook, I make a page and I call it index. It's nothing fancy. I just put the word index here. And as I make different notes on different pages, I write a title and the page number, which also means I number every page in the paper notebook. Okay. You can do very similar in a digital. You don't number it, but you make a notebook and you start to link. Maybe if you want to see what it could look like, I can try to do a live demo for you. Not try, I can do a live demo for you in Evernote. I have to do a little bit to set it up because I didn't set up for that, but I can show you. Okay. This is where your major topics live so that, again, it's a trigger and a reminder for you to reduce your decision fatigue and the cognitive load on you figuring out what notes I have, what do they mean, where are they, and how do I get to them quickly. Okay. You want to get to, as closely as possible, a single source of truth for your notes. If that makes sense to you, let me know in the comment. Not the same note in 5 different places, because now you got to keep track of that. And not notes 2 here, 10 here, 30 there, 50 someplace else. You want to get to a primary single source of truth for your notes. When you take this very first step, after you've done your prep, what you end up with is a clear master note system where you can stop hunting for scrolling through and searching through fragments of your information that you've documented, and help you, and it'll help you find the information you need very fast. Okay. This step is called, I made a mistake. Unifying and merging your notes. Because the first step was emptying that quick note of duplicates and anything, just like going through it, scanning it real quick. That step is real quick. Empty, get any junk out quickly. This step is you're going to now unify and merge into a primary source for yourself. Okay? Source note or note system. This now we move on to some rules of engagement, as I call them. These are rules that help you separate your real work from noise in your note system. This is all about decluttering. So, for each of the notes that you kept, you're going to ask yourself a question. Will I act on this note in the next 2 weeks? Does it require me to take action on it? If it requires you to take action, then that note, you will move it into one of 2 places. You can have an action folder, database, or whatever, or a project database folder, or however you organized it, depending on the note system you use. It may be tags. If you're using Google Keep, you're going to have tags. If you're using Notion, it very well could be a database. If you're using Apple Notes, it's probably going to be a folder or a series of folders. If that note is no, you don't need to take action on it, you want to keep it for reference, a couple of things you can do. You can put the word letters REF or in it, so you know it's a reference, or the word reference in the title. Or you can, I've talked about this, you can just simply take that note and move it to archive. Here's a precaution. If you use archives, my suggestion is set up an archive for each year. Recently, I was doing this decluttering in my professional note taking app for my corporate work. I had multiple years of reference notes and archive notes in one notebook. The notebook started slowing down, and I started seeing that it wasn't syncing. That made me realize I needed to take and separate those notes into by year to keep that notebook small enough that it wouldn't have problems syncing and loading and working. Again, my recommendation for archive or reference, separate them by year. So all of 2025. Maybe you don't want to go down to a single year, maybe it's 2 years, but separate them so that it doesn't become too much for you. Okay? And while you're doing this, you can also still look for if there are little tiny fragments of information stuck someplace. Great time to grab those very quickly. But if it's not super fast, don't get bogged down in trying to reorganize and rewrite and relabel. Okay. What you'll end up at this stage is your notes will clearly be separated into notes that I have to take action on. There's actionable information in here. Let me give you an example of actionable information in a note. I made a note that I needed to make a doctor's appointment. It's a task, but the note itself had some additional information I needed to ensure that I gave the doctor's office. So I needed to keep that note. It's actionable because at the appointment, I need to be able to get back to that note to make sure I give the doctor's staff exactly the information. We a If you've ever been to a doctor and you're an adult, you know they always want certain information from you. So that's an example of it's actionable, it's relevant, and it's coming up, and then when I'm done with it, I can archive it. I know that I gave it to them. So that's one set of notes you'll have. Actionable notes, there's something in here, information in this note that you need to do something with in the next couple of weeks. Everything else is going to fall into, there's actually three categories. It's going to fall into reference, meaning it doesn't go to archive, it stays in reference because I need to look it up, over the next year. Not, but I'll need to look it up over the next year. That is when you put that reference in there. If it's archived, just put it in your archive and let it go. You've already taken the step to get the name clean and clear for you. When I didn't say this hey, Chris, I didn't say this at the beginning, but I'm going to say it now. In that setup step, and when you're first doing your scan through your notes, you can also very quickly, if the note has no value, current or future, delete it. That gets to the digital hoarding thing that I talked about and mentioned. Just delete it. Especially now, by and large, especially if it's something that you went and looked up or you ran a um, a prompt to gather the data, you can recreate that pretty quickly. It's only information that you can't recreate that really comes into, I need to hold on to this. Just saying. Okay? So now we're going to assume you've got a kind of sizable pile of notes that are you've figured out what to do with them. You're going to you've put them in the folders. This is where you go to, how am I going to manage this going forward? How do I stop this process, this from happening over and over again, and I get stuck having this digital hoarding, hundreds, if not thousands, of notes that are unorganized, and I don't know what's where. It's all over the place instead of in a same place. Okay? This is your next step. And for those who just joined, I'm going to give you an opportunity to let you know. I'm going to stop for a second. I'm going to go to your next step. But if whichever one of these apply, your notes need some decluttering. You got a little hoarding happening. Your notes are they're in order, they're neatly organized, and you don't need any of this, let me know. Or you need some help decluttering. Let me know. Put a 1, 2, or 3 in the chat. Okay? I just want to suggest that to you. Okay. Something else you can do is, now that you've got these here and you're looking at them more closely, you're looking at the actionable, this is focus in on the actionable notes. You can not only have that great title on the note, which is essential, but put a one line summary as your first line. and the action that you need to take and that in those merge notes that you put together. This is to make that information scannable so you can see it very quickly and you're not having to do a lot of deep reading, which takes time. If you need to cross reference notes, this is where note linking or backlinks in your notes become very critical. And let me know if you want to see an example of that. I've got lots of them because I use that all the time. And at this point, you're not rewriting, you're simply making small edits to polish up your notes so that you're not having to look through them and you can move very quickly. You've separated out and you've got actionable items. And that is the key to getting this list down or this pile down to a manageable level for you. I think that was number 4. Okay. Number 5, I talked about, but it's really you want to polish up your notes, which I just talked about, y- and focus on your actionable, the things that those notes that you have that you need to take action on or you want to take action on in the next 2 weeks. Because if you're not going to take action on it in the next 2 weeks, you're wasting your time. Something you're going to take action on in a year, you don't do that to yourself. Trust and believe. Don't do that to yourself. So your step is polish up your notes. I'm going to leave this and I'm going to come back because I see some great people out there and I would love to get you all's input on how you handle decluttering your notes and where I have shared something that makes sense to you. You've done this one time work, but you also need to make sure you have a way to keep it in order that it does not come back and continually happen over and over again. So that you have a workspace and a process that continually works for you and not against you. So I would say keep that quick sweep folder, database, notebook, note area that you but keep it empty. Empty it either daily or weekly. Do not let it pile up for 2 months because you basically end up right back where you are in this, big list that you've got to go through. But depending on your volume of notes that you're taking, once a week during your weekly review, every day in your evening or morning preparing for the next day or preparing for the current day. Another thing you can do, and this can go into that index note, is create for yourself a short naming convention that you will always use. Then you don't have to remember if you always use the date, the format of the date, if you always use the company name. Some keys are things that make sense, dates, who, and what. Who and what and dates are really great ways to focus on naming your notes. Put it in there once and just maintain that simple system. And if you need to add backlinks to to your master list. The last thing is you've done all of this work, you've gotten the hoarding under control. Make sure you do a backup of critical master notes. It doesn't matter what system it's in. Backup, figure out what you use. When I say what system, I mean what app. Back them up. Export them, copy them, PDF them, do something with them, and make a backup and put it in your backup system. We need to talk about that later in another video or another show, we will, so that should some damage or corruption happen in your main app, you've got a backup of the critical information and you can restore it and get right back to it. All right. I got some folks who have come in and I want to say hello to you. I see quite a few folks have jumped in and I saw, where did he go? Hey, Miss Tora, nice to see you in the building. I know I saw Chris Stone. Hey, David Hunt, how are you doing? Hey, Mr. Stone, Chris Stone out there hanging out with us. So glad to have you in the building with me this evening as I go through this material. We're talking about decluttering, and last week I focused on files and folders, decluttering our files. This I'm talking about notes. This is not necessarily files. This is most of us that I know, we have a note app. Again, it can be Notion, Google Keep, Evernote, OneNote, Bear. I can keep going. Those are some of the most common ones that folks in my circle, so to speak, use. And so those are the ones I focus on. You may use a different note keeping app. This is those notes in there that I'm talking about. So your 5 steps are, first of all, set yourself up by creating the quick sweep folder or database. And then number 2, run through very quickly and just get rid of duplicates. You do a quick scan to get rid of duplicates, junk that you don't need. Just get rid of it. Don't hold on to it. Don't think about it too hard. Don't overthink it. Just get rid of it. Then you want to start separating actionable notes from reference and archive notes. Then focus on your actionable notes. Get the titles clean, get them in the right place, get them cleaned up, add some descriptions to them, polish them up a little bit. Your last piece is make sure you put in place a routine, make it a habit to clear out that quick sweep area either daily or weekly. This will be the way that you can not be stuck, not take a long time, not have a lot of decision fatigue, not feel overwhelmed. You have the exact opposite: fast decisions, fast action, smooth sailing, find your information very quickly, and enjoy the process. I'm excited for you because I want to know how you make progress. And if you put a 3 that you need help in as the poll question, I'm going to encourage you to join me in my school community. You can just go to join.florencespeaks.com. Join, I'll put it in chat, join.florencespeaks.com. And that way, you can join us over there and we will be glad to help you. I'm typing, so y'all bear with me. If you go to that link that I just dropped in chat, that'll and just ask to join, I'll let you in and then we'll have further conversations inside the community. That's really the core of the content today. I don't see any questions. I'm going to just do a quick check to see if there are any questions in here. I don't see any. And I'm going to say next week, I'm going to talk about some of the apps that I use to help me move notes around and get the decluttering done. Just 2 or 3 so that you can have some, how do I do this without it all being a manual process for me? Because it doesn't have to be a manual process. There are some tools that you can use to help you process this, whether it's file folders or notes, that will help you with the renaming, with the moving, and with all of these steps that I've outlined for you. So if that's it, and I will see you guys next week right back here. If all is well, have a great weekend. I look forward to seeing you next week.